Okay. Let's test the audio here. Everything all right? Okay. Let's test the audio here. Everything all right? Alright, yeah, alright, so that's good. Alright, let's see. Hey, Sean. Oh, man. I look like I'm just kind of doing nothing right now. Yeah, I'm setting it up right now. I just got to get my bearings real quick. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. My programs are just loading right now. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, where is it all? Okay. And let me, all right. Can you see that? Everybody see that? Okay, so alright, so basically I learned C# last week, so what I'm trying to do now is effectively figure out a way to prove that I know C#. So I'm just doing a coding exercise. It's basically you have a lab full of students and you only have 10 students in the lab at any given time. There are 9 blocks per day and there are 5 days a week that you have this lab. And so theoretically there'd be a professor who has this lab who's trying to fill it with students, and so you're writing a program that looks at students' schedules, and then based on their schedule you assign them to a given day in block, and then you're supposed to try to schedule. You have a minimum amount of hours that they can work, that a student is allowed to, like the minimum that they have to work, and then a maximum that they're allowed to work that you have to fulfill. So with that, you have to schedule as many students for as many blocks as possible while still satisfying those constraints. So then any blocks that are free, once you've satisfied those constraints and can't do any more, any blocks that are free get printed. And then you also print the schedule of every student for what blocks they're scheduled for. And then after that, if you can't satisfy the constraints, you just print an error message basically saying that you can't do that, and then nothing's printed. So it's just a really basic program, and I've commented a lot of code here. So I have, representing the lab, I have a lab object, as you can see here. So the lab object just represents like the lab. So you have different things here, like the minimum hours students can work, maximum hours they can work, their student schedule, or sorry, not the student schedule, the schedule of the lab itself. need to... Yeah, no, this is right. Okay, yeah, this is right. Okay. Then you have the students that are in the lab. This basically just keeps track of all the students that potentially can work in the lab. Then you have a list of blocks that are free, basically. So yeah, the lab object is largely incomplete, but I do have the student object completely well defined. This isn't the prettiest. This print function is like atrocious, but we're just doing the quick and dirty way to try to get it over with. And then I'm testing the student object here. So ideally, if I had test cases, I would just make text files and load them and do file I/O. But I don't know how to do file I/O yet with C#. So yeah, red vented in the lab. Yeah. How many people are watching this? Alright, only 3. Gotcha. Huh, cool. Well, anyway. So, it's basically just going to be me reading stuff, basically. Just trying to test out streaming and get comfortable with streaming. So, my idea behind the streams is that, I'm basically just trying to like teach myself. The goal of learning C# is that I'm going to eventually move into learning Unity, which is a game engine that is like pretty well known. So with that, one of the building blocks of Unity is programming in C#. And I know C++, I know a little bit of C, and I know Java, but I didn't know C# prior to this. So I'm learning C#, doing an exercise, and then I'm going to move into learning Unity, essentially. So the idea of the stream is that it'll be a way for people to like press on me so that I keep doing the stream, like, or keep like learning the code. And just keep like working on things. It's basically just a way to make sure that I actually work on shit. So, can you say that on YouTube? Probably not. I don't know. But yeah. So, without further ado, my first objective is that I need to learn how to do file I/O. So, alright. So I need to do file I/O. So that means I need to learn. So if we, hold on, window. I actually need the Solution Explorer. I'm also not very well versed in Visual Studio. I've never really used this IDE before, which sounds crazy, but what we use for school, we use like a really stripped down IDE that doesn't even show you when you have like errors in your line of code as you're writing it. So we also use Ubuntu, which is like a Linux-based OS that's free to use and download. So we do a lot of like programming using the command line, and in C++, it's really easy using the command line to like do text file based things. But in Visual Studio, it's a lot more like, there's a lot more layers of abstraction and encapsulation from the user versus just like working straight on a command line. Okay, so I need to look at the Solution Explorer. Okay, so I probably should hide this. Yeah, okay. So I have a text file here, right? It's just an empty text file, but what I'd like to be able to do is I would like to be able to say, here's a student, that's their name. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they work blocks 1 and 4 and 7. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they work blocks 2 and 4. So I want to be able to grab that from this file and then put it into my program and read it into, I have the student object set up. I'd like to be able to take this information and read it into a student object, and so in order to do that, I need to be able to set its available blocks. So this is its availability, basically. This is the student's name, this is their availability. They're available on Tuesdays and Thursdays, blocks 1 and 4, and then 7 as well, and then Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, blocks 2 and 4. So I want to be able to load that into there, which is our first stepping stone problem. So I'm going to make another. We also want to be able to do multiple students in the same text file, just of this same format. So let's see. And then I already have some test cases written out here that I'm using. Okay, and then we want to have a minimum number of well, this is the meme number, right? But we want to have a minimum number of hours that the students have to work and the maximum number of hours that they can work. So they can't work any more than that, but they also can't work any less. So we need to satisfy the constraints based on that. So I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but long story short, I need to find a way to yoink all this data from a text file and then put it into the program data in memory, and then separate through that data, and then store that into student objects accordingly. So, yeah. So that's what we're working with there. So I'm actually going to rename this to test 1. And then we'll make multiple different test files eventually. I have test cases written out. I just don't want to put them down on text yet. That's just going to take a little bit more time. I'm going to test it on this, and then we're going to see if it works for anything else. So, yeah. All right, so first things first, I need to research file input and output. So, yeah. So let's see here. Is there a way that I can... text scene. Why Denny's? If you're not familiar with the Peter Smith channel lore, there's a video on there called Stay Spation that is a really, really poorly, crudely made green screen film that I made for my school competition for just like amateur filmmaking competition. And in it, at the very end, the character that I play, which is a disabled Russian cosmonaut, and then a character my friend plays, which is just a crazy redneck astronaut, they end up in a Denny's in the middle of space at the very end. It's a very broken narrative, and they don't really get there by earning it. And it's not a very well-constructed story, and it was very rushed to finish, but that is why I'm in Denny's currently, because this is the same background that I used for all of that. So I hope that I can't get a copyright claim for using Denny's logo. I'm not sponsored by them, but Denny's, hit me up if you would care to sponsor me. That sounds so shallow. I love it. Anyway, oh. You don't want to do that. Oh, shit. Oops. My bad. I don't think I put anything on there that... That's bad. Okay. Yeah, I'm new to this whole streaming thing, so. Okay. Oops. Alright, so. Yeah, you're on stream, Paul. Yeah, got you. So essentially, I need to learn how to use something in C# called a file stream. So we're going to test that out in this little bit of code here. A file stream is essentially an object in programming that interacts with files. There's more low-level stuff than that, but from just what we care about, it just allows us to like read from, talk to files, and then get data from them. Oh, I have to end the stream now for reasons unknown. Anyway, yeah, this has been the test.